Hello everyone, it's that teacher here, and today's lesson is going to be on long division. Let's start learning. Welcome back to the channel everyone. We're going to begin our lesson on long division. Now today's lesson is a step up in difficulty from our previous lesson on the channel, which covered the basics, the fundamental basics of long division. So if you haven't seen that episode already and you're just new to learning long division, I highly recommend going and checking out that video before you get into this lesson. So today's lesson, like I said, is going to increase in difficulty, and we're going to be dividing numbers by 2 digits. Let's get straight into the lesson. The question here is 534 divided by 11. Now, what I recommend when you're dividing numbers by 2 digits is write the first 10 or 12 multiples of that number down the side of the page. Now, with the 11 or 12 times tables, you're going to be familiar with this because you practice them every day. Now, if you get a harder number, say 34 or 76, you need to count down that amount of times, do the times tables for that number. You can just add on, so 34, 68, etc. But I highly recommend writing the first 10 to 12 multiples of your divisor, and it will help you so much when you work out the question. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So we need to do exactly the same process as we have done in our previous lesson when you divide by 1 digit. Now, how many 11s can fit in 5? That would be 0. So we combine the next two numbers to create 53. Now, if you go down the multiples, you can see this is what you need to do. So how many 11s can fit evenly into 53? 11, 22, 33, 44. 55 is too much, so you can't do that. You need to go back to 44, which would be 4 11s can fit evenly into 53. Now, as you do with normal division, you need to put the remainders down below. So you draw a little line, a little arrow down below. So for instance, there are 9 remainders in that question. Now, you do exactly the same process, bring down the next number that you would be dividing. So in this case, it's the 4 in the ones column. Bring it down next to that 9, creating a new number, 94. Now this is why writing the multiples down the side is helpful, because the numbers are going to get larger, which means they're going to get more challenging. So how many 11s can fit evenly into 94? That would be 8, because we have 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88. We can't go to 99 because it's too big, so we can fit in 8. Just for this one, I'm going to count it out with my fingers to show you how to do it, but I'm going to assume that you know your 11 and 12 times tables for our next 2 examples. So 8 11s can fit evenly into that 94. Now, we're gonna have decimal, remainders here. Now, you do exactly the same trick I've covered on this channel. 1 decimal point high, 1 decimal point low, and 2 zeros. Now, any remainders you have go in the next 0 that we just added. You could add a million zeros, but in this case, we're only going to add 2 zeros. Use that formula when your remainders are going to be decimals. 1 decimal point high, 1 decimal point low, and 2 zeros. Now, we had 6 remainders from our previous question. So how many 11s can fit into 94? We had 6 remainders there. Now, we've created a new number by adding that 0. So how many 11s can fit evenly into 60? That would be 5, because 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. We can't go more than that because it's beyond, it's more than 60. So, as we've done in our previous lesson, you put the remainder in front of the next 0. So now, how many 11s can fit evenly into 50? That would be 4, because we have 11, 22, 33, 44, okay? Now, most teachers in your class will be more than happy with 2 decimal places. I wouldn't go any further than this because the number can be infinite. So if you put your decimal to the closest 2 decimal places, so finishing in the hundredths column, that's going to be good enough for any teacher. Unless it says to the nearest 3 decimal places, that's what you need to do. 2 decimal places. That's why we added 2 zeros. So we're going to move on to the next question, which involves 11s again, but with 4-digit dividend. Now, write the multiples down the side and just simply go through it. How many 11s can fit into 8? That would be 0. Combine the next two numbers. How many 11s can fit evenly into 89? That would be 8. Remainder 1, bringing your remainders down. Now, like I said, when you move on to the next digit, the 6 in the tens column, you need to just move on and bring that down, creating a new number, 16. So you bring it down next to your remainder from the previous number. How many 11s can fit into 16? That would be 1. Remember, you have 5 remainders here because you've used 11 of the 16 numbers, so there's 5 remainders. Bring down the 5 and move to the next digit and bring that next to your 5 remainders. So the 1 in the ones column, bring it down next to your 5 remainders from the previous number and create a new number, 51. How many 11s can fit evenly into 51? That would be 4. Now we're going to have a few remainders here. We're going to have 7 remainders here. Now we're going to do decimal remainders, 1 high, 1 below, 2 zeros. That's going to be the strategy that's going to easily solve this question. So 1 decimal point high, 1 decimal point low, and 2 zeros. Now, like I said, we had 7 remainders. You put it in front of the first 0 that we added. Now, how many 11s can fit evenly into 70? That would be 6 remainder 4, because we've used 66. So 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66. So 6, and we have 4 remainders. Finally, how many 11s can fit evenly into 40? That answer would be 3. And we're gonna cap it there. Like I said, 2 decimal points. Sorry, excuse me. 2 decimal places is more than enough. So the answer would be 814.63. Now we're going to move on to the 12 times tables. I'm going to stick with 11 and 12s for this episode, and in the next episode, I'll use more challenging numbers, 27, 35, etc. Okay, but for this lesson, the intermediate lesson of long division, I want to just cover the first 2 that you would be most likely familiar with, the 11s and the 12s. Like I said, you get a long division question by dividing numbers by 2 digits. You need to add the first 10 to 12 multiples down the side of the page. It's going to help because you can just count evenly and you don't have to use your fingers like I've been using mine. So, how many 12s can fit into 7? That would be 0. Combine the next 2 numbers. How many 12s can fit into 73? Go down your list. So we have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72. So we have 6 there. Bring down your remainders. You had 1 remainder there. Bring it down. Now, like I said, when you have finished with your remainders, you need to move to the next place value, which would be the 7 in the tens column. Bring it down next to your remainder and create a new number, 17. How many 12s can fit into 17? That would be 1. Bring down your remainders. So any remainders you bring down like this, there's 5 remainders there. And like I said, move on to the next place value, which is the ones column. Bringing down the 5 from the ones column next to your remainders, creating a new number, 55. How many 12s can fit evenly into 55? You can use your chart. You can see clearly if you just go 12, 24, 36, 48, 4. You can just count the numbers down. That's why you use those multiples down the side. It's so helpful. So you can fit 4 12s evenly into 55. Now remember, we're doing decimal remainders, 1 high, 1 below, 2 zeros. It's the best strategy, the easiest strategy, and you put your remainders next to the first 0. So we had 7 remainders because we used 48 of the 55 numbers. If you're not sure how many remainders, I'll go through this in the next episode, but you can do subtraction. 55 take away 48 will give you the answer, but if you can mentally do it, even better. So how many 12s can fit evenly into 70? Go down your list. We have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72 is too much, so we go back. You can fit 5 12s into 70 evenly. Now, this is why I put this here. You landed on the number, your remainders are going to be more than 1 digit. So we have 2-digit remainders here. So you can see, we've used 60 of the 70. So you would have 10 remainders. When you get a question like this, you follow the exact same process as I just did and you make that number. So you write the 10 remainders next to that 0, and that would be 100. So if you get remainders that are more than 1 digit, that go beyond that, you do exactly the same method. You put the 10 next to that 0 and combine all 3 digits, creating 100. Now you go down your list. This is why with long division, it gets a little tricky. How many 12s can fit evenly into 100? That would be 8. And that is how you solve long division when you're dividing with 2-digit numbers. The answer here would be 614.58. If you have any questions or concerns, write it in the comments below. Like I said, my next lesson is going to be more complicated, but it's going to follow the same sort of strategy, same sort of method, but we're going to use more difficult numbers. So we'll cover that next time. Hopefully this has helped in your learning of long division with 2-digit numbers. It's going to be your turn. I've given you one question to practice at home. You can write yourself a whole bunch of questions, punch the answer in the calculator, but for this, I've put the working out for you so you can go through it with me. Now, 7,839 divided by 12. Answers ahead, pause it here, get a piece of paper, practice it, and here's the answers. Like I said, I've shown you the working out so that you can follow it at home and cross-reference your work from the slides that you can see in front of you. So hopefully that has helped with your learning of long division. Like I said, next lesson is going to be more challenging, but we're going to cover it. We're going to get through it. Hopefully I would have known. I know you've done a great job there. Thank you so much for watching. It's That Teacher. We'll see you in the next lesson.